Okay, this last video is going to talk about how, now that you've built your bridge, now that you've done your force study, it's time to send these files to Illustrator and get them cut out. Now you can't just save as an STL like we did before. It's actually not the bodies that we're going to send to the Glowforge, it's the actual sketches. So this is what we have to do. Here's my mini bridge, and it consists of 3 bodies. Let me just hide everything and we'll add them in one at a time. So there's the footpath, and you can see it's got tabs because I designed it to slot into one arch and then a second arch. So I'm just going to show you how to go about doing these. I mean, everything can be lit up, but what you're going to do is you're going to create a sketch on the face that you want to send. So this is the first thing. It's a sketch directly on the bottom part of the bridge. And now what I'm going to do is say create, project include, project. And what I'm going to do is just click on the bridge. And do you see how it highlights the whole thing in blue? When I say OK, now it's made a sketch. So if I go into my sketches, you'll notice I've activated the whole bridge. So my sketches will be up here. Let's see, I think this is the sketch. So I'm going to double click on this and I'm going to call it footpath. I don't know what this is, if it's a footpath, but it's the main part of the bridge. That way I know what that is. Okay, so that's the first piece. And then I'm going to finish my sketch. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is pick one of in fact, my 2 arches are completely symmetrical, so I really only need one of them. I'm going to pick, let's see, I think it's arch 2 that I like. So what I need to do then is create a sketch, and I'm going to flip this around so that I can place my sketch directly on this, right? So now that's where my sketch is going to go, and I'm going to create, project, include, project, and I'll just select this. Oops. I'll select, yikes, this is going to be harder than I thought. I think I messed up somewhere. So let me undo this and try again. All right, so I've got my footpath, I've got that. Create sketch, and I'm going to put the sketch directly on that. Then I'm going to project, include, project, and then select that piece. And you see the whole part of the geometry that I want is selected. So I'll click OK. And now I've got my 2 sketches. So I'm then going to go to the footpath and right click. So control click. And it says save as DXF. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to make sure this save to my computer is ticked. I'm going to call this footpath, and I'm going to say save. I already did this, so it already has a file in there, but I'm redoing it again. Okay, so that's the first one. I forgot to rename this one. I'm going to call this arch, or the trusses maybe. Truss, arch. Okay, and then I'm going to right click, save as DXF, truss, arch, save to my computer, and just take a note of where it's going so you can find it. It's going into my downloads folder. Okay, now I've done that. I'm actually finished with Fusion, so let me just put it away. Now I'm here in Illustrator. Okay, I'm going to create a file. I'm going to say new file. And since the wood we're giving you is 20 inches by 12 inches, I'm going to do that. I'm going to create a 20 by 12 inch board. Okay, so there's all the material I have to work with. And I designed this bridge specifically to show you some of the pitfalls. Okay, so now I want to go to File, Place, and I'm going to find the sketch I want. Let's start with the truss, right? And I'm going to place it, and I don't know, we can place it right in that top corner. So there's my first arch. I hope you're seeing the problem I'm going to face. Because if I try to duplicate this, I need two of these, right? One for the left, one for the right. So let's duplicate this and put it here. Guess what? I do not have room on my wood to cut both pieces. They overlap, and even if I did have room on my, I mean, you could imagine, let's see, I could imagine turning this around and maybe these two would print, but definitely not the foot part. That would definitely not print. So what all this to say, you've got to be super careful that you don't do so much work. No, there's no way I can make this work. It's definitely going to overlap. So that's a big fail. So if this was if I spent all, this is the marshmallow, I guess. If you want to think about it from a design thinking perspective, you don't want to get to this point after working on your bridge for God only knows how many hours. You want to figure this out early so that you can adjust. What I would probably need to do is make my arches shorter. I'm not sure how I would fit all, maybe instead of one long, let's do this. Let's take a look at the footbridge. And maybe instead of one long piece of the footbridge, maybe I just would rather do slats. Because if I try to put that in, see that takes up quite a bit of room itself. So I would need enough room for two arches and that. But remember, you also have another. I could also add an artboard. Let's see. If I add an artboard, let's see how I want to do this. I can say plus. So another, and then this artboard, I want to edit that. Artboard 2, I actually want it to be 12 by 10, right? Because that's, let's say 12 by 10. So I have that much more room. So I don't know, how do you want to do this? Like what you could do is break this up into two pieces and print it half and half. Or I could do slats instead and make a bunch of these. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, but the point is at the very basic level, I can't fit this onto the artboard. So we're going to have to rearrange our design. If you have skills in Illustrator, you would be able to reduce all of this without, see, if I just try to go in here and flatten this, what you're going to find is I had this great idea of slats, but now my slats are no longer the right size. They've got to be at least a height of 0.125 millimeters. So I've completely messed that up. There is a way to manipulate this in Illustrator. And if you want help with that, then you're just going to have to come and ask for help. Because see, if I do this, if I flatten it like that, it actually would work. I could fit all three of these pieces on this long. I would just have to play around with this. For example, what I would need to do is ungroup everything and then take this and make the height 0.125, right? And then the slat would work. So that now I could do that and fit them in. And I would do that to all three of them. 0.125 and then 0.125. And then what I would probably do is select all three and arrange them so that they are all at the same level and then center them here. Something like that. Okay, so now I think I've salvaged this. This one I'll delete, and what I'll do here is regroup this. Let me regroup that. And then put it down here. So you see, now I've salvaged my project. So there's different ways you can go about doing it. I really think you're going to need all your problem solving skills for this. But good luck and have fun.